Today we're going to be building this beautiful thing inspired by an amazing designer whose work I found on Dribbble. If you guys want to check out more of their work, see the link down in the description. Other than that, let's get started with today's website built in Editor X. And before we get started, take a peek at what the finished product is going to look like. And if you like what you see, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, because we have tons of Editor X content and tutorials and tips and tricks on this channel. So with that said, let's get started. All right, so let's dive into really where we're starting, I guess. So first off, we already have our logo, we have our menu, and we have our button. If you guys want to see how I've done this stuff is actually really easy. All I have done, actually, let me just go ahead and show you again. I am going to go to my add elements here. I'm going to go to my buttons, just like this. And all I did was I simply grabbed a button, dragged it into my third container cell, and all I did was I go to my inspector, went to the height, set it to 100% for my height, and set the width to 300. And from there, all I did was made sure that my button was right aligned, so it is smack dab and nice and cushy next to our right side of our website, or just lined up to the right side of our website. The menu, it's pretty straightforward. I could easily pull out a horizontal menu just like this, and essentially add pages to my site like I've done here, just adding this, clicking the plus button and simply adding the pages that I want to show up on my menu. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to go to my inspector panel here, go to design, go to my text, change the actual font, which I've picked Product Sans. The color, I have gone for a light gray, or a darkish gray, a medium gray. I've changed the font size. I can change it here if you decide you want to do that as well. And I have changed the layout. I have gone from a left and right aligned and to be a center aligned, so we're right in the center here. And I have changed it so that all of the items within the menu are the same size and the items fill the entire menu size, so that everything is like equidistant. I don't want different sized or different spaces in between my words. So that's basically the settings that I have here. And for my logo, all I've done here is I have added in basically a shape. If you guys want to see how that's done, as you open, and if you've watched the fast forwarded portion of this, essentially what I did was I quick added a shape. The default is the star. I changed the basic shape, and I can either upload my assets, or like I already have, I have a whole bunch of content that has already been pre-uploaded. I'm going to use my logo SVG, add to page, and voila. Now the main thing that I do want to explain to you guys is I want to explain the grids that I have used. Now I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this because for some reason, as my header is up here, we can't actually see the grid advanced settings for my top row. For some reason they're up here. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna take this entire section and I am going to move it down below, or in between my first section. I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna paste. There we go. Okay, the reason I'm moving it is because I want you guys to see this setting. And I did move it in the very beginning, if you guys saw, but I wanted to come out of that fast forward recording to kind of explain to you how everything is working. So I'm gonna go to advanced mode, and here are the settings that we are looking for. So I have changed, the height of my row to be strictly 100 pixels. For my left column, I want the width to be max content, which is basically saying, hey, Editor X, please look at what is within this grid cell and make this column the exact size and margin plus the actual element. Please make this cell that size. And I've done the same thing over here. We have max content with our buttons so that grid cell is the exact same size widthwise as our button, which is 300 pixels. And rather having to set 300 pixels to this column, I am very much just trying to stay away from math, setting one thing to 300 and making everything basically be automatically sized using max content. So I'm gonna put our menu back to where it was up here, and let's go ahead and start working on our section. And just to reiterate, we are bringing these pieces into Editor X. So let's begin. First things first, we're going to go ahead and bring in this background image. So very quickly, I'm going to quick add, right clicking into our section, grab an image, and I am going to stretch this, and I am going to change image. I'm going to grab my foreground image, as we're calling it, There we go. There is a little bit of a cutoff, so all we're gonna do is we're gonna go to settings and reset image so we get the correct aspect ratio. I'm gonna go to our inspector here, go to my layouter, and I am going to grab a width of 100%. And one thing that is really important as well is I want this to scale proportionally. And I do want some of this content to actually be, I want us to see the entire content, not it for it to be hidden. First off, I'm gonna delete the footer, and I'm gonna go back into my section here and select the height here. So my image height is auto, but I want to go back to my section here, and I want to have our image height be 100% VH. We have that. And so that's why we're kind of seeing this section, it's stopping here, but the image is actually going past that. So let's go to the height and let's set this to 100%. There we go. So it actually fits within our section without pretty much any cropping. Now what I kind of want to do here too as well is let's go to the focal point of this image, and we can change some things around here. But more importantly, our first job is to kind of fit this image to 100% VH and have it look okay. So what we might do is for now is we're gonna set the height to a percent. We're gonna set this to 100%. So at least we get that full height, just like we have in our design file in Adobe XD. I'm gonna set this to centered, okay? And now what we will do is we do have a little bit of a line here. So what I'm gonna do is, I think what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna come back here and we are going to re-export this, but a little bit better this time. So I'm gonna double click in here, and I am going to recrop, right click, shape with mask. So re-export, PNG, export, beautiful. There we go. So I'm gonna rename this, I'm gonna call it Foreground 2, beautiful, select that, we're gonna open, excellent. Now that we have that, I'm just gonna replace this footage, or this photo. We're gonna replace it with Foreground 2, update, and there we go, we have our borders, they are gone. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we are gonna start getting our content in here. So if we go back to XD, the first thing that we want to do is, let's go ahead for right now, let's go ahead and put some of our placeholder things in here. Let us go and let's add an image, quick add, making sure I'm selecting my section, quick add, and we are going to, for right now, let's actually do a video box. And we are gonna place this right behind, and we're gonna change the footage here. We're gonna go to change video, and we're gonna type in field. And maybe we'll use the media from Wix. Let's actually go there. Let's go to field. All right, perfect. And let's try to find something that's a little warm. All right, let's try this. There we go. We have it behind, and I want our video. Let's go to our layer so we can actually select our video. We're gonna center this puppy, and we're gonna center our image as well. I do want to kind of go back to our menu. We have some lines here, some vertical lines and some very faint horizontal lines. So let's actually bring those in. First off, let's go to decorative, and let's go to our vertical lines. We're gonna just go here. I'm gonna pull one of these out. I'm gonna drop them right into our first grid cell, go to the inspector. Our height will be 100%, and I'm going to right align it so that it is touching. And first off, I do want to make sure that I am able to see this. So I'm gonna go to the line, make sure it is white, and there we go. We're gonna keep it like super intense for right now so that at least we can see them. Again, I'm gonna Control D, I'm gonna duplicate it, and I am going to drag this over to this line right here. Just like that. I'm gonna go and make sure that it is, of course, in the second grid cell. And we're gonna do the same thing for our horizontal line. I'm gonna come in here, grab the 2 pixel width line. I'm gonna drag it here, and I'm gonna make sure, holding shift, that it is able to cross all 3 grid cells and that the width percentage is 100. I'm gonna go to the design tab, change the color to white for now. And as you guys can see, there is a little bit of a discrepancy here. So what we're gonna do is we're actually going to remove that, and it might be -3, Let's try. Basically, I'm just doing the numbers until I don't see a artificial cross. I want the lines to line up, which now they do. Now I'm gonna go ahead and set all of this, the line opacity, maybe to around 30. We're gonna do that for all of our lines. And if you're having a hard time selecting it, just always go back to your layers. And I'm gonna grab this horizontal line and I'm gonna set it to 30. All right, perfect. So now let's go ahead and work on our grids. So I'm gonna select my section, apply grids, and we're gonna do it 2 by 1. And so what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna keep this for right now, but I do wanna start getting some of our text in here. So I am going to go ahead and, actually first off, one of the things that might save us with our section is actually sampling the color of the edge of this photo. Let's take this hex, select my section, go to the color. I'm gonna edit one of our theme colors and I'm gonna make the theme color that edge black. Make sure I apply it. Go back, use it, perfect. There we go, that's what we're looking for. Now we do have it's working on this side, right? And not all the way, but it's better than it was. Again, there's a way around this and I will show you guys in a second how to do it. So I'm gonna duplicate this, right click. Again, this is Adobe XD, but if you have this asset, just bring it into Photoshop and I will show you what to do. So we're gonna go to Photoshop here. We can Control Open and we're gonna jump into our assets and we're gonna grab Foreground 2. We're gonna add a mask and we are gonna draw on our mask with a very light opacity, maybe a 20% opacity as you guys can see here. And we are just, with a huge brush, going to just brush, and I'm gonna make a background so I can see really what's happening here. Go back to my mask here, just brush, and brush. I'm gonna keep going in maybe a smaller brush this time. Try to get it super light on the edges here. We're gonna save it as foreground. Go back to Editor X, change image, foreground. Ooh. We're gonna upload the new Foreground 3. So we are looking good. Now we are kind of seeing a little bit of our video back there. Now the easy way to change that is I'm gonna go to my layers and go to my video box, go to my inspector, and I am going to go to contour, apply contour. And I am going to make this 99. And why I'm gonna do that is because I'm basically gonna make this a circle. So I'm gonna go back to our layout. I'm gonna set this to an actual pixel width. I'm gonna do 500 by 500. So it's a nice little perfect circle. PX after it, so it actually goes to that. I'm gonna center it, and there we go. Excellent. So we're looking pretty good, guys. Okay, so let's now go back to what we were doing, our text. So I'm gonna select my section, right click, quick add, and we are going to pull in a title. We're gonna go to edit text. We're gonna click our theme or our text color. We're gonna set that to white for now. We're gonna type out between. Okay, and now one of the things that we do need to do is we need to upload our font. So I'm gonna go and change or select my fonts, what they are. I'm gonna upload a font and just pull these puppies in. I believe we just need to pull in one. So let's go ahead and do that. Perfect, it's nicely uploaded. We're gonna select that, we're gonna hit done. And now we're gonna put it in here. We're gonna type in Weird, Malone, excellent. So let's go ahead and set that to 78. And for this, again, you can, for fonts, you can always squeeze them, but what I like to do, just because I'm not trying to deal with math or pushing and pulling, is I always go to the width and set it to max content. So it basically takes the full form of the text and will always stay that way. I'm gonna Control D to duplicate, and I am going to type in reality. Now let's go ahead and grab the sizing of this, which is 186. Edit text, change to 186. Beautiful. And we already have it on max content, so we don't need to worry about that. And I can select both holding shift, and I can place in a container. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna apply a grid. I'm gonna do a 1x2. And I am going to set my between to be in the top grid. And reality, we could put it in the second only. Now what we're gonna go ahead and do is do a little bit of a magic trick. Not really, but kind of. We're gonna change grid layout, advanced, and we're gonna kind of do what we did in the menu. Just to keep things organized, we don't want excess space. I don't like dealing with numbers. So again, I'm gonna do max content for our height here. And I'm gonna do the exact same for this bottom grid, just like this. Now it doesn't look like anything really moved, but we're gonna make some changes here. We're going to go to our margin, and we are going to do a negative margin, probably around -50, to pull up this content just a little bit. Now you might be asking, Brandon, why are you doing this? Like, this is, you should have just kept it exactly how it was. You know, it's a preference. This isn't 100% the right way of producing content or producing, you know, the end result that we're going for, but it's something that I feel very comfortable, that gives me control, and you guys are free to kind of keep your text free if that's something that you want to do, but this is how I like to kind of keep control of all of my containers and my content within them. So we have one side, we are going to go ahead and do the other. So I'm gonna select my reality text, I'm gonna copy, click outside of it, hit paste. We're gonna get this in a good spot. And now what I do want to do is we have this little ampersand behind the window. So this is actually pretty easy. I'm gonna grab between Control D or Control C. I'm gonna Control X to cut it out. Make sure I don't wanna be in this container editing things. That's why. I'm gonna Control V, I'm gonna double click. I'm gonna get our ampersand in there. And we are gonna place this right here. And now I'm gonna go to my layers. And I'm going to push this right behind our foreground image. There we go. Now, one of the things I want to do is I see this button kind of overlapping our menu just a tad. So I'm gonna go to my button here, and I am going to make sure that there is no margin happening here. And it looks like there's still some, it's still doing something. If you guys can see that there's a little bit of overlap, I'm not really liking that. So I am gonna go back into my horizontal line in my menu right here, and I'm gonna drop this down just a little bit more, maybe about, we'll do -5 pixels, see what that looks like. Maybe we'll need to do -6, but let's take a look. We're almost there, almost. We'll do -6. It looks like that one last pixel will take care of everything. I'm gonna click on my button. It does look like I have a little bit of a radius on here, so I'm gonna go to my borders, just make sure that there's not. Okay, great. I'm gonna go ahead and grab, I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna quick add a shape, and I'm gonna change the basic shape to a piece that we've uploaded. So we do have a image for our scrolling, but I actually want this, I feel, should be an SVG. So I'm gonna Control export this again, not as a PNG, but as a SVG. So let's go back to, let's see, we're gonna upload. There we go. We have the SVG. We're gonna add that to the page. And now we can scale it and it will not get pixelated. And let's kind of match that up. And we already have a docking here, which is perfect. I also kind of want to dock this to the, maybe we'll pull it up just a little bit. We're gonna dock this to the bottom, just like this. And we're gonna also dock it to the left. Okay. So now what we're going to do, let's keep going back and forth. We have our little paragraph text here, so let's go and add that. Let's go and click our section. We're gonna quick add a paragraph. There we go. We're gonna make sure that we go to our color settings. We're gonna change it to white. And I'm just gonna double click on this, shots that will change your mind. So we're gonna go ahead and go character spacing, and we're just gonna push this puppy out until we get the look that we want. And again, we don't really want to mess with numbers. Of course, I can pull this box down, but that's really not accurate. So I'm going to set this to max content. I'm going to center this, and I can change the font. So we're going to go ahead and select product sans. Very nice. And I am going to go ahead and grab the font color from here. We have basically a hex of 888. Edit text. We're gonna go to the color, and I'm actually gonna I'm gonna edit a theme here. I'm gonna go and edit this, one of our theme colors. I'm gonna apply, select our text, edit the color using our gray theme. There we go. Okay, I'm also gonna go ahead and do that to our menu here too as well. I'm gonna select that gray, going to design, text, color, and we're gonna go ahead and grab this puppy. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna go ahead and just right click in here, and I'm gonna add a title, and I'm just gonna type in Groce, which is our logo. And we're gonna go to our inspector. We're going to max content, the width. We're gonna set the color to white. The font, we're gonna set to weird. So now I'm gonna go ahead and delete this vector art. I'm gonna center it here. So our margin, we're gonna set to 5%, or rather 50 pixels from the left. And we are also gonna set 50 pixels to the right to give us some space between our logo and this horizontal, or excuse me, this vertical line here. I'm gonna pull this up just a little bit. I'm gonna select my section, click these 3 buttons, quick add. I'm gonna grab let's go ahead and grab an image. I'm gonna change the image, and we're gonna grab that spiral PNG, just like this. I'm gonna scale this down because this is a very small asset. It looks cropped, so I'm gonna go to my cogwheel, reset image, there we go. And I'm gonna pull this right so it is aligned with my dreams here. And I can manually scale this up if I want, holding shift. There we go. Okay, so far so good. What else are we missing? We are missing we're missing our 2022, and we're missing some of these very subtle circle outlines, and then we have our little star to bring in. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna click my section, the 3 dots, I'm gonna quick add, I'm gonna grab I believe maybe it's an image, but let's see. And it has gone somewhere. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull it to, there we go. Sometimes when we pull in an image, sometimes it doesn't come in. So I just use my alignment tools, or it goes somewhere else. So I just use my alignment tools to bring it back in. So I'm gonna quick change image, and let's find our circles. So they are PNGs, let's go ahead and update those. And we are going to stick them to the top, just like this. Our height, we are going to make sure that these are 100%. I'm gonna scale proportionally. Or let's go ahead and do this. Let's reset our image here. Let's make sure that they are centered. And maybe what we want to do is the width. Let's go ahead and do 100%, see what this looks like. Let's try 60. All right, that looks about right. Now what I do want to do is maybe reduce the opacity of this, so it's almost like an afterthought. And now let's go ahead and add our last piece in here. Let's go ahead and grab our 2022, show more, and we'll just manually scale this. Okay, we're looking good. I feel like I want to scale, and also we have those circles way in front, way in front. Now all these images, I essentially want to have behind everything. So I want them behind all of my text. Circles should be behind everything. Okay. Trying to just get our little hierarchy involved. And one of the things I do want to add is we do have this background, right? I do kind of want to add in, let's select my section, let's quick add, and I'm going to grab another image. Again, it's gone somewhere, so let's go ahead and go to my alignment tools very quick. Let's pull it to the center. Change image, and I want some of that window stained glass. So let's go ahead and pull that puppy in. And we're going to place that right between, I'm going to scale it manually just like this. And I'm going to place our stained glass right in between our foreground and our background, just like this. And again, if you want to get really nitpicky, you can go ahead and center it as well. We're looking good. Okay, now what we want to focus on now is the animation portion. Now, before we actually do that, we have one last touch, and that is our star. So let's go ahead and grab it. I'm going to quick add a image, and let's go ahead and grab that shooting star, but I called it start shooting. Okay, it's a little bit pixelated, so let's make sure we reset the image. It is a very tiny image. So that's why it looks massively pixelated. Now I do want to get this in line with our, let's Control Z so we can actually grab this and name it Shooting Star. Perfect. And we are going to pull this into our menu section just like this. We're going to place it at the bottom of our menu here. And I also want to, just like we've done, our lines we want to have at the bottom because we do not want them obstructing any of our clickable content. So Shooting Star, let's pull these lines down here too, below our Instagram button. Shooting Star will be above our lines. And let's fix this to the bottom here. Now let's take a look at this. Just like before, our shooting star is pretty much almost on that line. To make sure that it is on that line, we're gonna give it a negative margin. So first off, we're gonna set this to negative, let's set this to -5 right now. Let's actually dock this to the bottom now. Let's do -5. There we go. It should look like it is on that line. Maybe we'll do -4. Perfect. And maybe we'll scale it up just a little bit more. We're gonna set this to a specific pixel width. I'm gonna set this to 70. And again, it looks like there's a little bit of cropping going on. So let's go ahead and reset image, scale proportionally. Going back here, we're gonna right align it so it starts at the and I'm gonna make sure that it is able to cross all 3 grid cells here, because later when we start to animating, we want to animate this across this menu line. All right, so let's actually preview this. Let's see what's going on and what we have so far. All right, so it did take a little bit of time to load, but we kind of have the effect that we're going for. Granted, this photo or this, oh, you know what? Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can basically tell when that video starts and stops. Let's go ahead and try that. So let's go to our video box here. Let's go to our, maybe our settings, behaviors, how it is paused, clicking. We can say no pause, sound, no, definitely no sound. Maybe we'll find some other video later that's a little bit better than this. But for right now, let's go ahead and let's preview again. All right, we're looking pretty good. We will make this clickable. Let's go back to our page color here. I want to kind of change this. Let's go here and I want to set it to, let's make it a little bit darker. Let's take this black here. Check a few more things. I want to make sure that there is no margin on my buttons. Okay, we're gonna tighten up this horizontal line here. I think we're gonna set this maybe to, let's do -5. I'm looking at these horizontal and vertical lines. I'm like, I think the opacity can be dropped a little bit more. So we're gonna set these to 15. 15, they're still a little bit too eye-grabbing for me. Okay, that looks a little bit better. I want it to be kind of pushed to the background. We're gonna jump back into this menu here. We're gonna go back to our titles. And let's see, product hunt, let's do bold. Very nice. And let us begin. Okay, let's preview again. All right, we're looking pretty good. And you know what? I don't mind the girl actually being there. So let's go ahead and start animating this puppy. Let's go to inspiration from Dribble. Let's see what we have. Again, this design is by Blackout Studio. Everything kind of comes up vertically. This ampersand comes from the right, and it looks like everything else pretty much comes and fades in. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's start off with between. All of our animations are really going to be done by selecting this diamond that looks like it's moving, and we are going to find the correct animation. I believe it's reveal. Slide in. Let's go ahead and do a slide in, but we are going to customize it and do from the bottom. Let's go ahead and see that. There we go. And we will set this to delay of 0. Same thing with our reality. Reveal, customize from the bottom, dreams, animate, scroll to the bottom, reveal from the bottom. We're gonna go to our layer so we can grab our ampersand. I think it was a fly in, basically. A float in, yep, just like that. And I think everything else pretty much was a fade in. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're gonna add a little bit of a delay. So we're gonna add a delay of maybe 0.4 for all of the content that is going to fade in. One other thing, I do want to make it a little bit fancy. Let's preview this really quick. It's a little too fast for my taste. Let's go back to edit, preview. All right, let's do our version. We're gonna do a delay of 0 for between. Reality is gonna have a delay of 0.2 and is going to have a delay of 0.4. Dreams is going to have a delay of 0.6. And you know what? It's not the animation itself. It's not the delay. It's the actual animation itself that is way too fast for me. It's like a whiplash. So the duration, I'm going to set this maybe to like 1.7. Let's give it a try. Let's preview. Boom, 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 boom. That's much smoother. I wasn't like... Okay. Now it looks like dreams are popping up before the and. I think it's just the fade is a little slow. So let's go back to edit. Let's go back to and. Still a little fast. Let's try to speed it up. We want that and to come right into place. Let's do about 1 second. Let's see how that fares for us. That's a little bit better. And another thing we could do, right? Because now it's kind of looking, it's looking a little fast. Animation, customize. We can keep this, right? But the duration or the delay, let's increase that just a tad. I don't know. This is the playing part. Boom, 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 boom. Do 0.3. Boom, 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 boom. That much better. I dig. Okay. Now what we want to do, because essentially when I have this video box hovered over, what I want to have happen is essentially all of this content to scale and basically reveal a back end or background. My goal here is to get all this content grouped. So I'm gonna go back to XD and I'm going to create a little bit of a mask with a hole in it. I'm gonna select both of these. I'm gonna make a hole punch and I'm going to make sure that it is basically the size that we need for this hole. And it doesn't have to be accurate. It really could be a little bit larger, honestly. And I'm going to make sure that this color is that black color that we need. Remove the borders. And I'm going to export this as a mask. So SVG, export, media, upload. Let's go ahead and pull it in. There we go. Let's try to center this. Okay, so now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we have our initial animation, right? But let's go ahead and try to do a little something different. So I'm going to select, we're going to go to our section, right click, quick add, and we're gonna pull in a shape. And we are going to change shape. We just are going to get a circle. I'm going to scale. And we're going to go to our opacity. We're going to put that all the way down. This is essentially is going to be our trigger element for our interactions. I'm going to set this to 0. Okay, let's go to our interactions now. We're going to add a trigger. We're going to do a hover. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to affect other shapes, not itself. We're going to affect, number 1, let's choose on the canvas. The first thing is we're going to select the foreground because we want this to scale. We're going to go ahead and hit done. Okay, so we're going back. We've selected foreground, apply an effect. We are going to make a custom effect right here. We're going to call this Foreground Scale. And all we're going to do is we're not going to worry about timing, but we're going to start messing around with the scale and stuff here. So we're going to type in 200%, and we're also for the X and Y. So let's actually try to do 500% and 500%. Let's even more. Let's do, because I want him out of the picture. All right, he's still there. Let's do that. Let's start with this. I know it's going to be really jacked up, so bear with me. Okay, so we have that. Very nice. Maybe we will. So that's not bad. We're looking okay. I was a little worried. All right, let's go to our image. Let's go to foreground so we can change our effect and edit it a little bit. We want the opacity to go to 0. Okay, let's preview. Now, it does make all this space in this section. We don't necessarily want that. Let's try to figure out how we can avoid that. So let's select our section here. Let's go to our inspector, layout, 100% VH, overflow content, show, we want it to hide. Okay, scale here. All right, perfect. So we have that. Now what we want to do is we want to, one, scale and reduce the opacity of our what is this? Our stained glass. And we want to do the same thing with, we want to expand this video. So let's go ahead and do that. And another thing we can actually do is, and why I tried to bring in that sort of, you know, this vector art back here to that we put on top of our video box, is that what I was thinking was maybe we could go to our design, turn off the contour, and scale the video so it's already huge. Essentially, basically, already 100% height and 100% width. So it's basically already like this. Let's find the focal point. There we go. Essentially, I would need to have an entire block. So we have this vector art. Let's try. To scale this up this way. Okay, I think that's fine there, but we need to have other portions. We're going to pull in 2 more shapes. Okay, we are going to pull in, we're just going to do rectangles. And I'm going to set these to a width of 50%, or excuse me, we'll do 35% width. Or rather, let's do 80%. Left line, bring it to the top. We're gonna do 100% height. We're gonna duplicate it, and we're going to pull this to the right side, pull it to the top, right align it. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Let's do a width of maybe 75. There we go, so it's not overlapping. We'll do the same thing here, 75%. And we're gonna take these 2 pieces, we're gonna place in a container, and we're gonna pull these right behind our vector art here. Now, one of the things I do want to do is let me see what happens if I turn off our vector art. Let's see, don't display. How are we looking? We're looking pretty good. I actually like this better. We don't, that vector art, we don't need. Okay, so we're here, boom, boom, boom. All right, so this is what we're dealing with. Okay, so we have this effect. Now, what we also want to do is we want to make sure those blackout curtains disappear on hover, as well as this stained glass. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and select our stained glass, or rather, let's go ahead and select our basic shape. We're going to call this our trigger. Let's go back to our inspector, interactions, triggers. We're gonna add another interaction. So we want it to affect now. We're gonna select our stained glass, hit done. And we want to do another custom effect. stained glass, 0% opacity. All right, so we're not gonna worry about the timing. We're gonna close that. We're gonna set the opacity to 0. And this, we're gonna make it scale up just a little bit, 500 to 500%. And we're gonna go ahead and hit done. We're gonna do the same again, another trigger, not trigger self. We're gonna choose on canvas. We're gonna grab our black curtains, hit done, apply an effect, select an effect. We're gonna do custom, effect, black curtains, opacity, and scale, 0% and scale. Start designing. Opacity, drop those puppies to 0, and we're gonna scale them to at least 200%. Excellent, just hit done. All right, let's preview. Everything's coming in, beautiful, boom. Blow, okay? We're looking pretty good. We're looking good. Now what I do need to happen, you guys see the black curtains are actually scaling super slow. So what we're gonna do, because we don't actually want to see that happen, is let's go to black curtains. Let's go to the effects, black curtains. Let's edit. Let's rename these real quick because I think the name is too long. There we go. It was so long that I was blocking these 3 dots. We're gonna set the end. Basically, we're gonna set this to like 0.01. We want this to happen like ASAP. Let's go ahead and preview. It's a little bit faster, but everything is too fast now. So let's go ahead and slow down some things. Let's go to our foreground. Let's go to Foreground Scale, double click that edit button, and let's set this to, let's do a whole second. Let's start playing with the black curtains again. Let's go in here. Let's go to our timing. Let's see if we set this to, let's also do 1 second. Let's do ease in, ease out for easing. And let's see if we can do, I wonder what happens if we don't do scaling. I wonder what happens for that. Oh, we did scale 0. We want 100%. All right, it's a little better. So we're going to we're gonna pull out one of these black curtains or duplicate them. I'm gonna cut them out of this container and I am just gonna place them in this section, Control V. There we go. And I'm gonna pull them behind the black container here. And I'm gonna make this be 100% width. I'm gonna center it. Okay. And I'm gonna set this puppy to 0 opacity. So we're gonna kind of do like a little switcheroo here. So as the black curtain goes to basically 0 opacity, this new black curtain, we're gonna call this new overlay. This is gonna come in. So let's play. First off, let's go back to our trigger shape, interactions, trigger, new interaction. Let's go ahead and grab in our layers that new overlay. We're gonna hit done. We're gonna select a custom effect and we're gonna set this new overlay 20%. And we are going to set the opacity to 20. The initial state should be 0. Let's go back to new overlay. Let's go back to the design. There we go. Okay, let's preview this. That black is going a little slow, so let's go ahead and let's just keep tweaking. Boom, effects. Let's go in and edit these. Let's change this timing. Maybe point 2 is the spot. I feel like it's close. Now it does come back quicker. Is maybe we have scaled our foreground just a bit too much. So instead of doing 1,150, let's pull this back to 500%, because we're still doing 0 opacity. So I think that will help the animation. There we go. Oh, at least this part is looking really good now, guys. All right, let's keep going. Our vector art, we want to go back to our trigger. Let's add new interaction. We're gonna apply, choose on canvas. We're gonna select our vector art, hit done. We're gonna set this effect. We're gonna do custom, scroll down, element 0% opacity. We're just gonna set this to 0. Hit done, preview. Oh yes, that looks good. 2022, 0% opacity. Start designing. Not gonna worry about timing. We're just gonna set this puppy to 0. And hit done. I think there might be a little tad bit of scaling we can do for our black curtain. Let's go to our layers, go to our black curtain container. Effects, let's go in. And let's scale it a little bit, 150%. And maybe we'll only do it to the Y, or excuse me, to the X. Maybe we'll do 2.5, see what, or 0.25. Let's go ahead and hit done, preview. The outside still goes a little fast, and it's because we've scaled it on the x-axis. So let's go ahead back in. Let's do, let's go ahead and try this. I'm gonna start this at maybe 0.2, and we'll do this 0.3. And let's go ahead and just keep everything 100. So that delay, I'm not really digging it. I'm gonna set this to a very specific size. Let's go to our section, because this might help us if I create a section in a asset that is exactly the size that I need. Let's go to advanced. We're gonna set this to an exact pixel height, which is 854. And 854, let's see, I just wanna see what the change grid, advanced mode, I'm going to delete one of these, delete column. I'm gonna set this to a pixel width of 2200. Height, we're gonna set this to pixels, 854. Let's go ahead and grab that. And let's see if we can create a artboard exactly that size. Go ahead and update. And if I don't see elongate, let me go ahead and do and reset an image. There we go. And we're gonna set this to 100% with 100% height. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and preview this. That's what I'm talking about. Now what we can do is we can actually take out, we're gonna go back to our trigger here. We're gonna delete a couple of our interactions. We're gonna go to our black curtain. We're gonna delete this, and we're gonna delete our other black curtain. Let's preview now. All right, perfect. So this looks good. Now we just actually need to delete our black curtain on our layers. Let's go ahead and don't display this. Preview. Boom, boom, boom. Nicely done. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unmaster this for now. Detach from masters. And of course I could always take that star outside and just literally put it in our section and pull it up. But because I am not trying to do additional work, let's go ahead and just try to get add interacting, grab our shooting star, done, effect, custom. So I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna move everything out of the way, and I am just simply gonna go to our translate, and I'm gonna move this over 2000 pixels. I'll move it over 2010 pixels. There we go. So now let's go ahead and preview. And it is a little off center. So let's go ahead and go to our margin. Let's do 2. Let's go to preview. It's a little fast. Let's go ahead and slow that puppy down. So let's grab our image. Let's go to interaction, effects, effect 1, and we're gonna slow it down. We're gonna do, well, let's end it at 10 seconds. Let's try to have this really, really long. Now, one of the things I do want to do is I do want to select my section here. I do understand that we had, I'm gonna set this back to 100 VH. Okay, change grid layout, advanced mode. I know that this is 2200. I do want this to be auto though, because I do want it to scale and the image to scale to the person's actual viewport. Maybe we'll use viewport width. Viewport width, 100. There we go. Let's go to preview. It's looking pretty good, guys. So that's really it, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to figure out how we can get, let's try pinned here, overlap. All right, I'm really liking this. I do want to change our color for our text here. Maybe we'll do a white. Let's see, preview. I like that. And for this, let's go back to our button. Let's go to our background. We'll reduce this to about 11. Let's go to preview. I like that. Now, there is a little bit of a border. So let's go to our border here. Let's drop that border to 0. There we go. That's looking nice, guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the hover interaction with a pretty cool sort of, let's go ahead and let's publish this baby. So we get an actual, and now we do have a little bit of a cut down here. Let's actually try to figure out what's going on there. Let's go back. And it might be because, let's go to our video box or our section. Our section is 100% VH, but I do know the actual grid that we have here isn't 90. Yeah, let's fix this. Let's do viewport height. Let's just set that to 100. Let's just keep things consistent. Let's go to publish. There we go. So we don't have that undercut anymore. We have our menu, which is nice. Okay. Now, one last thing. I do want to bring this up a little bit further. I'm going to use my shift and arrow keys just to pull this up a little bit. And just dock to the bottom. Let's go to publish. Ah, our and it's got stuck back there. Let's go ahead and pull that up using my arrow keys. And it also looks like why there's this cut here is we have our stainless glass. Let's go to our stained glass. Let's scale this up a little bit more. Let's center that. And our and, let's move it up just a little bit more. And let's see, let's actually go in here and see, this is max content. Let's look at our dockings. Let's also do a percentage here. Pushing it up, publish. And it's probably best that rather than having a docking to the bottom, that we actually just have a docking to the right. That way, yeah, that's better. We'll just do the docking to the right because the bottom, the viewport height will change depending on who's actually using the computer. So we're gonna put it right here. We're gonna remove that docking to the bottom because the viewport height will change depending on who's viewing this and what their screen size is. So we're gonna have it just dock to the right. Let's pop open. So this should be more accurate. There we go. It's a little bit more rather than percent. Maybe we should just do pixels. Let's see what happens if we do pixels. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. This is our creation for quite a lot of work. But I hope this is the beginning of very many things that you guys try in EditorX. This is a little bit of a attempt that I wanted to essentially have in EditorX, and something that I saw on Dribbble, for example, taking what we saw here and trying to create something with it. Yes, it's a little bit different, and yes, we could still continue to move on with our design here. But you know, I'm really happy with what we've done here with our animations. Of course, we could actually use Velo to create this sort of design, but I'm very happy to have created at least something that, let's start from scratch. Boom, let's refresh. We have our animations, boom, boom, and boom. This is looking very fly to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to see more videos and tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, it helps tremendously, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. I hope you guys liked this episode. If you did, you can find more build from scratch website tutorials with me right here, or you can find more Editor X tips and tricks in this playlist over here. With that said, I hope to see you guys in another video. And of course, if you liked this episode and what we're doing here on this channel, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.